And the field reforms for the restart. And as we've said before, how long will it stay green? Jeff Burton on the bottom side of the racetrack. Jack Ingram on the top side trying to unlap himself. This ought to be a dandy battle. The field manages for a change to sort itself out without incident. Jeff Burton now is trying to put some distance between himself and the second place car of Ed Barrier. And that's an excellent roadblock between the two because Jack Ingram can make his race car mighty wide when he wants to.
Yeah, right now he's doing his best to get by leader Jeff Burton because that Jack is only down one lap, and that would put him back into the lead lap. And there is a caution flag again. Bingo,
we have tied the record, ladies and gentlemen. 18 caution flags in this afternoon's event. That is Bobby Moon, a driver who's making his first Grand National start today for the 1991 season. Here's a replay on what happened.
He just simply went into the turn too high, got up in the marbles, and smacked the wall pretty good. You see it there. Folks, we can't stress enough at how slick it is once you get out of that groove. He was out of the groove entering the turn. The car never even tried to turn, just went straight to the wall. You see how flat that it made the right side of the car now. He took a pretty good lick.
And folks, we don't mean to make light of the fact that there have been a number of cautions, but we anticipated that this was going to happen today with a brand new racetrack and really conditions that were ideal for a number of incidents, and the drivers have just had a vicious time today driving right on the ragged edge.
Speaking of vicious, you're about to see a vicious impact in turn one here at South Boston. There's Moon's car, the far right of the screen, just rips the concrete retaining wall, an angle shot very similar to Gary Neese's, and the safety crews now going to the attention of Spout Spring, Virginia driver Bobby Moon, who's a sophomore on this series, the rookie contender last year. Due to finances, hasn't been able to run very many events this year. As a matter of fact, I believe this is his very first race in the series in 1991. Awful tough way for him to end it.
That's Dave Resendi's car on pit road as they continue to remove weight from that machine. And pretty much the front end looks very much like Kenny Wallace's car and Tommy Houston's car and Chuck Bowen's car. We take any number of cars that look just exactly like that. From that camera angle, it'd be mighty tough to tell which car that is, except for the color of the machine.
The crowd certainly likes it. They're jumping up and down. Say, hey, how about 2 or 3 more of those cautions before we finish this thing? Jeff Burton, of course, in the lead, says, look, let's go clean and green. I think I can win this thing.
Well, does that really play, though, into Jeff Burton's hand? Once again, not abusing tires that we, according to our records, we have not seen him change the entire race.
Oh, absolutely. The more laps that he can run under caution mark, the better off that he's going to be. He's played his hand right now. He will not come in for tires. And thus far, nobody's been able to mount a challenge. Chuck Bowen had on fresh tires and might have been able to get him, and he was involved in that incident and was penalized a couple of laps. He's now 2 laps down. And he's already shown that he can run off and leave Ed Barrier at will once the restart of the race is underway. And so right now, there's nobody to challenge Burton.
Unofficially, we show that as the 18th caution. That ties a Busch Grand National record. We'll be back to see if we can wrap up this event sometime today in just a moment from South Boston, Virginia. You're watching TNN coverage of the Busch Grand National Series.
Cut it.
Back here at South Boston, Virginia, at the South Boston Speedway. We'll be under caution here for a little while, as we're happy to report that Bobby Moon, who took a pretty good lick over there in turn 2, is conscious, was carried from the car. According to one of his crewmen on pit road, said he had his bell rung pretty good. Now, they will take him from the track for medical attention, but while that's going on, we will need to wait for another rescue vehicle, another ambulance to come to the Speedway, so we'll be under caution for a few more laps. Now, Kenny Wallace is the Busch Grand National points leader. There is an interesting statistical comparison between the completion of 9 races last year and the first 9 races of 1991, and it will give you some sense of why Kenny Wallace is your Grand National points leader. He has improved 145 points from last year at this time, while Bobby Labonte and Jimmy Hensley, who after 9 races last year were tied for the Grand National lead. Now, you see, Labonte is fallen off a little bit in 1991, and Actually, the graphic information there is not quite correct. It really, Bobby Labonte had 12.99. Those two were tied. So there was a little bit of fall off for Bobby Labonte. Hensley dropped off a good bit, but the Grand National champion, Chuck Bound, has fallen way off the pace.
He certainly has. At this point last year, he's making a move for the top spot and is now over 200 points behind the pace he set last year. Speaking of points, for the top 10-point drivers coming into this race, only one, Joe Nemechek, has had a relatively safe afternoon to this particular point. Everybody else has had trouble. Kenny Wallace, Bobby Labonte, Jimmy Hensley, Todd Bodine, Tommy Houston, Chuck Bound late in this event, Tom Peck, Butch Miller, Robert Presley, all have had major problems except Joe Nemechek.
Well, let's check in with a man who's had a front row seat to all sorts of excitement on pit road, Bill Hennessy.
A lot of activity here on the pit lane has been mostly everybody coming in to have sheet metal removed from their race cars. Several folks have told me that they're a bit distressed about the shape of the racing surface here and the fact that we've ended up with so many cars in the wall. The other thing is, as far as Goodyear and Hoosier are concerned, they brought an excellent tire to the racetrack. Their tires have been punctured by the tiny pebbles, which have worked themselves out of the asphalt and embedded themselves in the tire to basically deflate them. The Joe Nemechek crew, at one occasion, have already changed through all four quarters of their cars' tires. And they say now we're working on set number 3. Hopefully they can make it the distance. Hoosier says their hopes are presently lying with Bobby Diner and, of course, the car driven by Butch Miller. Of course, the Goodyear cars are the rest of the field.
We go from NASCAR scoring that there have been 19 cautions. That breaks the record.
I knew they could do it.
Yeah, well,
I had hopes for them at Hickory.
Yeah, we had a feeling in the early portion of this race as we watched them skate around this racetrack, they're having a lot of trouble. And in all fairness to the officials here at the racetrack, some of these cautions have had little to do with the track. They've had more to do with drivers getting in each other's way.
Well, that's certainly true, Mark, but the drivers are going to turn right around and say, hey, it wasn't my fault. I couldn't drive on that racetrack surface like that. Look at the ruts coming off or into the track coming off of turn 3 or into turn 3. That's just simply caused by the sheer power and force of these cars. As they accelerate off the turn, it just eats up that asphalt.
Plus, they got a lot of sunshine on that particular part of the racetrack today. Again, the track officials made a move to improve their speedway, and you see around the groove, it's almost billiard table smooth. They really did a great job in paving the racetrack, but when you have these combinations of heat, the track not having enough time to cure, these big, heavy race cars, you've got a problem.
That's the key phrase right there. The track just simply didn't have enough time to cure. Once they repave and patch these areas right now and they run the weekly stock car shows on it, they're not heavy enough or powerful enough to do that. But the next time the cars come back here, this place should be in perfect condition.
And something we might mention, too, along the lines of the race surface itself. Now, we're entirely a V6 series now in Grand National competition. You say, well, V6, those aren't very powerful engines. Well, folks, they're still producing over 520 horsepower, and if the car is geared right, I mean, that's the real secret to short track racing, making sure you can get up off the corner the way you want to. Now, Jeff Burton has been able to do that the entire second half of the race. He's been able to get away on the restart, and we're going to take a look at Bill Hennessy, who's down on pit road with a story about our race leader.
Harold Bryan, you're the crew chief of the car that's leading at the present time. You've yet to bring him in for tires or fuel. What's your strategy now?
Well, we're going to try to go all the way because we've had 100 laps on the caution, and normally up here we run like a 200-lap race, and we figure we could run at least, 260 or 270 without any problem, so I think we'll be okay.
He stayed out of trouble so far. It's a pretty precarious situation out there, isn't it?
It sure is. Right now we're lucky. You don't know how long it'll hold out.
Once again here at South Boston, Virginia, as Chuck Bound, the 63 car up there on the outside, tried to make a great run to get back up and around to unlap himself. He lost a lap from one of the earlier incidents when he was held on pit road, which we documented. A car up at the wall at the top of turn number 4 comes back down. Steve Grissom, there is no caution. He is back in the racing groove without further incident.
What a tough break for Jack Ingram to be down a lap. Ingram is the equal of Jeff Burton. He may be even a little bit better. Ingram now looks to the inside to go to turn 1. He's going to lean on Burton. He's back, I believe, on the lead lap. We had him only 1 lap down, so if he can get another quick caution, which isn't out of the question the way this race has gone so far, Jack Ingram would be able to move right up to about the 3rd or 4th running spot on the inside lane.
That's a good point, Mark, and I certainly want to commend both drivers that time. Ingram made a great move in getting by him, but Jeff Burton even did a greater job in getting through that corner in the outside groove without losing control.
Now, Jack Ingram is back on the tail end of the lead lap unofficially, according to NASCAR scoring. He is one of only 5 cars in that position. Race leader Jeff Burton is car number 99. The 33 car you see in the screen there is second place at barrier. Then Bobby Donner having by far and away his best run of the year, Joe Nemechek, and then Jack Ingram, your top 5.
Jack Ingram is just praying for a yellow flag. Glenn Jarrett, he's just pulling away from the race leader like Jeff Burton wasn't even there.
And he gave him a little bit of chrome horn there to move Chuck Bound out of position because he's got to close in on the race leader. That was Todd Bodine in the 34 car getting loose, and we got caution again up in turn number 2.
That
caution
is
on the Speedway.
That's Butch Miller's car, and we've got smoke from Jack Ingram just when he got the caution flag he needed. It looks like the engine is going sour, getting ready to blow in the Skoal Chevrolet. And the bad luck just continues to haunt Jack Ingram, and we'll have more from South Boston, Virginia, when we return for action in the Carquest Auto Parts Stores 300.